Welcome to the Morning Vibe, where we share one positive message to help you master your day and have an incredible morning. Today, we're going to be talking about the fact that being imperfect is actually the most perfect thing that you can be. In a crazy world that we live in, where everything is structured, everything seems overly complex, we're in an overload of information, and we have so much things that we feel like we should be that we forget who we are. Now, this was something I was really realizing heavily over the last 2 weeks or so as I was reflecting on my own YouTube content. I was reflecting on some of my YouTube videos, and I could see that there was a part of me coming out that felt like he needed to prove or needed to showcase how great or how perfect everything was. And I think it's easy to slip into that. It's easy to slip into thinking that everything has to be perfect for you to create, for you to express, for you to be accepted, feeling like you're not going to be fully accepted for who you are. And, that's the journey. That's what we talk about on this channel. That's the inner work. But even with myself, I found it, and I caught myself with it, where I was feeling like even though I'm, talking about doing inner work, I was still operating from an unconscious place where I was trying to almost prove myself a little bit. And, that comes from years and years of programming and years of things I've been working through more personally. And I wanted to share this specifically upon that reflection so that we can really all drop the masks, so that we can really all just show up the way that we can at best show up in the moment. There's many things that we try to make perfect, or we try to fix, or we try to showcase so that we feel like we are worthy, so that we feel like we can get the message across. And the journey itself is so imperfect. And that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it beautiful. Even recording this video right now, I'm very aware that the lighting is very off, like there's shadows there. And, if I was in a professional studio, it would be, everything would be pristine, everything would be perfect. But that would distract me from the essence of just the creation of life itself being imperfect, of us ourselves being human and having things to work through and things to dissolve and things that we're working on, that we're building skills at, and things that we're building within business that are going through the process of being tested, and we don't know if it's going to work, and we're just throwing some stuff at the wall sometimes to see what sticks. Meanwhile, being on the journey of understanding all of the unconscious parts of ourselves that need to be integrated or loved more or accepted more. And, yourself, being on that path is not easy. It's not easy. So because it's not easy, it's not going to be perfect. And it's very liberating to just accept that. Just accept that. Life isn't perfect. But that's what makes it perfect, because even now we're using words that don't capture the true essence of life, because perfect and not perfect are like two binary things, but it's all of it. Sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it's not, and sometimes the more imperfect things are actually the things that are the most perfect. And it's like one of those many riddles of life, or just things that we can reflect on to see that, hey, there is no truth really. It's just the truth that we find in the middle somewhere. And I think there's a lot of power in that, especially when it comes to sharing your message or any form of content creation or anything that is creative or expressive in any way, shape, or form. I know for me personally, what I'm on in terms of my mission is becoming more of myself. That's really what the internal journey allows us to really do. And what we're really craving at the deepest level is like, hey, I just want to show up and be me across social, across business, across content, or whatever the case is, or whatever I'm working on, across love and relationships, my health, like everything. I just want to show up, be me, and get results. And funnily enough, we think that we have to be somebody else a lot of the time to get results. We have to copy what someone else said online. We have to copy what a mentor said. We have to copy what, the right way to do business is. And there's just no right way to do any of it. And there's so much freedom in that. There's so much freedom in that. What if you're not doing anything wrong? What if you're exactly where you're meant to be? And the imperfection of that journey is the thing that actually makes it the most exciting. Sometimes I think it's easy to get wrapped up in thinking what we need to be, who we need to be, what we need to do, and the key word there being the need. Why do we need anything? Why don't we just show up as the most authentic version of ourselves, the most imperfect version of ourselves today, and go and take the risk and work more in alignment with, who we're wanting to become, but who we're wanting to become is just more of ourselves. Sometimes we just think that it's something outside of ourselves. But what if we just showed up from that place? Now, of course, we can keep log and we can be conscious of like, okay, well, how am I showing up today? Am I kind of slipping back into an old identity? Am I slipping back into an unconscious pattern? Or am I moving from a place of authenticity? And, the whole identity shift, right, which is something I've talked quite a bit around on this channel. The identity shift, I'm not sure if it's the right way to say it because it sounds like you're becoming somebody else. But what you're really doing is you're becoming more of who you are at the deepest level and uncovering, what it truly means to be you. The more that I look at the reflections from the clients I've worked with and also my own journey as well, it's very easy to think that we have to become somebody different and change ourselves, and it's like all of these things we have to let go of and remove, and absolutely. But what it is really coming back to the truth of who you are before the programming, before the layers of society, before you put on all the masks that you felt you needed to put on to be accepted or loved or worthy or whatever the case is. What if you just took them off? What if you allowed yourself to be imperfect in an imperfect world and leaned into the things that are the most exciting to you, the decisions that you feel are the most aligned for you moving forward, and release any of the needs or the shoulds or the have-tos that stop you from expressing what you want to express and being who you want to be. I think the most beautiful version of business is the one that is built from your truth, your authentic self. There's things that you can gather along the way, but it's very easy to slip into looking for a right way or looking for the way. But your way is the way for you. And I've discovered this more and more in business as I've gone through my own journey of, running that marketing agency that I was running and, being very structured and following a ritual with that as to what is the best way to do that. Realizing that wasn't something that I wanted to do, this wasn't clicking for me, even though it was doing well. I could have kept growing it and I probably would have been still running it today. But I pivoted because it wasn't for me. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't mine to give to the world. There was people who were much more excited about that, and I wanted to let that to them. But then on that journey of uncovering what it was like for me to express myself in a way where I wanted to help people with the internal work, with their concepts of reality, how they see the world, how they see themselves, how they can move through the energy that may be limiting them and going into the depths of what it means to truly be themselves and heal those things and build something true, authentic, powerful, and profitable from that place. That to me was exciting. But even then I found myself slipping into the have-tos and the needs and what is the right way. But the more I leaned into that, the more I got hit with resistance. And my meaning around that resistance was because I was out of alignment. I was out of alignment with what was for me, or how I was thinking about the right way to do things instead of trusting myself. And over the last year or so, I feel like I've learned really to trust myself on a deeper level. And that has come from nothing other than reconnecting with the inner child within me. It's funny, the common theme I've noticed across all the clients I work with is that when they reconnect with their inner child, life becomes more fun. It becomes less heavy, becomes lighter. Business becomes more profitable, becomes more fun. You let go of the masks because you don't need to be anyone other than yourself, because we all have this child within. The child that just wants to play. The child just wants to Go out and laugh, have fun, be in nature, be with friends. But oftentimes, especially with anything online within business, we can lock ourselves to a screen, thinking that we need to prove ourselves, we need to perform, we need to have structure, we need to be stuck in front of the computer to be able to create success. But what I've learned personally from my journey is that the more time I spend away from the screen, the more I actually am more successful and more abundance comes to me, and I have better experiences, I have better people around me. Everything improves the more I lean into that. And, that's imperfect, but perfect in its own way. So, as a reflection for you, what are you thinking? Where are you not allowing yourself to actually show up imperfectly because you're afraid of what that might mean for your business, for what people think of you, what others may think of you in any way, shape, or form, whether that's online or in person? Where could you show up and express more authentically that, you're just going through the motions of life, you're figuring it out like everybody else? And then on the other side of that, being open and honest with the people around you. Hey, I'm going through this, I'm working on this. It's important to communicate. I often forget that. And it's so important to have great people around you. Coaches, mentors, friend groups, just communities in general. The journey of life, man, it's just this dance. It's a dance. We're not saying that there's no structure involved. I'm not saying that there's no methodologies or strategies or tactics. There absolutely is. But underneath all of those things is the energy that we carry within the world. When you're operating and using a strategy, what intention do you have with the strategy? Is it coming from a place of lack? Is it coming from a place of need? Is it coming from a place of feeling unworthy, and that's why the action is being taken? Because that energy is the thing that fuels the strategy and the action, and that has a counteractive effect as to the results that you'll experience from that. And I know this from relentless trial and error. When it comes to the energy that we bring to something, when we bring a sense of lightness, fun, playfulness, and self-acceptance, it's coming from a place of love, right? Overall, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about love. Coming from that place of love. That strategy that you execute on carries a different energy. It carries a different essence. It has different results, radical different results. And then the journey is, how can I increase in my frequency, my energetic frequency, so that I can show up from that place of love, so I can genuinely give and be of service and not need anything in return, right? So I can hold my worth and then charge the prices that I believe are worth charging for the services I provide, because I know my value, I know what I do, I know how powerful it is for people. All of these different things, right? It all comes back to love. But that love starts within us. We'll never get it from success outside of us. We'll never get it from a relationship. We'll never get it from, a milestone that we hit, because all of those things are just going to be mirrors back to you. So when you, let's say, for example, you get into a relationship and you're coming from that place of love, you've done an incredible amount of work on yourself and you're coming from that place of love, then that relationship, it will feel amazing. It will be incredible, because it will simply just reflect to you the love that you have within yourself. When you achieve the success that you want and you hit the milestones, whether that's monthly income or yearly income or whatever the case is for you, how you feel when you achieve that will simply just be a mirror of how you really feel inside. The success will just mirror that back to you. But if you achieve the success, let's say in the physical world, and then there's no fulfillment there, and there's like this lack or this emptiness in there, that success is not necessarily success, really, is it? Because it just mirrors back the lack or the feelings that have not been addressed within. And hey man, there's no judgment here. I've been there. It's just a signal to go inwards. It's just a signal to go into what truly matters. And then when you build from that place, well, everything just becomes a game. Everything just becomes like this dance of beautiful things that you can just achieve things and bring amazing people into your life, and not necessarily because you need any of it, because you're on the journey of becoming whole within, remembering that you're already whole. And all of those things that you achieve outside of yourself then are just beautiful additions to that. And that's when we can dance with the inner work of the spiritual work, or the, the internal state that we learn to master, and then balance that with the external reflections of that as well. And that's the dance, it's imperfect for sure. So where are the parts of you that you could show up more authentically in? The imperfect parts of you, whether that's in the content that you make, the message that you share, the products that you create. Can it be done with more authenticity from you understanding that, hey, you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know your next 10 steps. Trust yourself enough to know what the next step is for you. So it's been amazing to share the space with you. I hope you have a beautiful day. This has been Jordan, and I'll talk to you soon.